All right, so the next part of our Back to Basics special edition Gearwire Crosstalk show or program is about guitar recording, and sometimes you may get a sound when you're starting out that doesn't really sound like what you hear when you're playing the guitar. Why does what goes on tape sound different than what you're playing, and why does it sound really bad? There are a ton of elements which go into this equation, which these guys know a lot more than I do. So we'll go to Mr. Drew Cragg and then Mr.
Broaden it
Chubbs
slightly, because I think this question isn't so much a question about guitar, because that's kind of tricky. This question, I think, is more about signal path than anything else, and just understanding what you need to do to get a good quality sounding recording in the end result. And less is usually more. I like to start, if I'm recording electric guitar, just guitar into the amp, and then microphone on the amp directly into the, whatever I'm recording onto. Just keep it real simple. Obviously, mic placement makes a huge difference. The type of amp, the settings on the amp make a huge difference. So there's a million things right there that could make it sound like crap. It might be the settings on your amp. It could be your mic placement. It could be the settings on your guitar. It could even be, I think more often than not, I think the most important, and we could talk about this, I think the most important thing is mic placement. Namely, if you get a bad mic placement, it's going to sound like shit, no matter what kind of amp you have. You know what I mean? So.
Well, also you want to be able to, coil your cables correctly after you're done.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all right. I could go off about how like this whole home studio sort of thing has ruined like a lot of like quality in recording. Has degraded the process. I mean, like, here's the thing: is that like you're not dealing with as much quality equipment, and you're going for something that sounds completely different than what the amount of, and what your equipment can do. So you like kind of, before you even lay anything to tape, before you even plug your guitar in, you're like, oh, I got this idea. And you think you're hearing this through this amp. Like a lot of this has to do with the psychology of what your brain's hearing. That's why these people spend like, thousands of dollars on these triple rectifiers, which just sound like solid state distortion anyways at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like they spend this money on these amps just because they think they're getting a perceived sound. And then when they actually go to record it with a SM57 off access with no room mic, with a crappy preamp that they bought for $50 at XYZ, and then on top of it all, compress the heck out of it and don't even open it up, suck out all the top end of it, and now you have, well, what is the sound? It's because you did everything wrong, and you did not have any conception of what sound, how sound interacts with the gear that you have. And like the thing is you can do good recordings with crappy equipment, yes, but you can also fuck up everything possible faster with crappy equipment. It just means it's more finicky. All right, like cheap home studio recording has opened up the door for thousands of musicians to get their stuff out, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's also going to sound like ass crack because you're using crappy shit. All right, so like you got to kind of like level yourself out to like, what am I really going to get out of my equipment?